The final game of Super Rugby round 10 sees the Brumbies host the Jaguares in Canberra in a battle of two teams who are both, I think it's fair to say, pretty inconsistent and at the minute really trying to keep their seasons alive because both these teams are off the pace in their respective conferences, but probably not so much that there's not something to salvage if they can really put a string of results together. The Jaguares have started it last week, and the Brumbies at home really need to get things back on track. So there's lots to play for both these teams. Whoever loses, I mean, we're halfway through the season. I think they'd be looking at other results to go their way after that. So, I mean, for the Brumbies, coming off a really big loss in New Zealand, there was a bit, I don't know how much of it was just media talk because they're never going to say we're going to go out there and get smashed, but there seemed to be a bit of legitimate hope they might be able to sneak over to Dunedin and pick up some points, but really far from it. They got they were on their end of a pretty hard result in Dunedin. Scoreline didn't really give them enough credit for the work that they did, but they certainly didn't take enough of their chances, to get close to beating the Highlanders. For the Jaguares, it's the second game of their tour, so they picked up a very important win over the Rebels last week. And so far, I mean, they've got 3 wins and 5 losses. 2 of those wins have been against Australian teams, so they seem to have a knack for picking wins up against the Aussies. So maybe this is another chance to do that now. They've got a tour in New Zealand coming up after that, so maybe this is a good chance to pick up a win before that kind of extra southern part of the tour. For the Brumbies, so Spate's going to play his 100th game, so hopefully they'll get some fans out for that because it's a pretty big achievement for him. Sam Carter's also back and starting. Joe Powell starts at 9, Godwin's in at 12. There's no Christian Liliafano in this match day squad. I think they just said he's being rested, so I mean, fair enough. The guy's in his 30s now, so maybe good idea to keep his body in kind of peak condition by not playing him every week. I guess it makes sense. For the Jaguares, Tukalet starts at 15 for this week, so Boffelli moves onto the wing. Bertrano's back at 9, and Crevi is back in his usual 2 jersey after Montoya got the start last week. So the Brumbies have already dropped points at home this season, and they are 7 points behind the second place Rebels. So I don't know how many more points they can afford to drop before you kind of just kind of write the season off basically as an embedding year for the new coach. I don't know. I mean, there's still lots to play for, but I really think they need to get a win. I'm not saying they need to get a bonus point, but at least if they get a win, that moves them within touching distance of the Rebels. And the Waratahs lost yesterday, so there's not that kind of team pulling ahead like the Lions are in South Africa. For the Jaguares, like I said, they got a good record against the Aussie team so far. In terms of the South African Conference, they are miles off the pace of the Lions. The Lions are just streaking ahead, and it looks like no one's going to catch them. But in terms of the teams at 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th, it's like 14 points, 14 points, 13 points, 12 points. So there's nothing in it between these teams at the bottom of below 1st in the South African Conference. So, they just need to keep compiling points. They probably need to go on a pretty big winning streak because catching the Lions doesn't seem like a prospect. But if the last wildcard berth is an option, picking up a few wins on the road is definitely going to be important because they dropped too many at home. So it should be an interesting game. Tensions will probably be pretty high for both teams because, like I said, neither have got great records. 3 wins, 4 losses, 3 wins, 5 losses. So, whoever loses this one is really starting to look like a basement team just propping up the table. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully it's a good one. And, I'll talk to you guys again for another one pretty shortly. See ya.